Well, good morning. We are so glad that you have joined us for worship. And I know that sounded really anticlimactic because it's just really blah. It was a week last week, all right? It was a week, all right? People say to me all the time, I don't know how you deal with teenagers all the time. Like, that's the worst. And I'm like, no, here down. Here down is the problem. If I had to do here down all the time, I'd be... I could deal with teenagers all day, but them little kids, man, it was a week last week, all right? So despite all of that, I had some time to sit down and put something together. So, we'll see how this goes this morning. But we started a series last week called Being on Mission, and we learned something last week about being on mission, that God has given us a mission as his followers, as disciples. And I think words matter, and I think details matter. That's just the type of person I am. And for me, I like the word disciple, all right, as opposed to a follower. I think a disciple has more impact and it has more meaning to it because I'm not just following Jesus, I'm doing something about it. And so for me, being a disciple is the word that I choose. But we talked about that God gave us a mission, and the mission was, he said, go and make more disciples. That was his plan. That was what he wanted done. And it wasn't anything where we were able to say, well, this is just kind of a suggestion. God was like, hey, if you feel like it, go do it. When you're ready, go do it. When you've got enough money, go do it. When you've got enough time, go do it. When you feel that you're educated enough, go do it. He was like, no, go do it. Go. And so that we found out by statistics, which some people loved and some people were really angry that I showed us the statistics of the reality of Christianity today. And what we found was that we are really poor at our most important job, which is sharing the gospel. We have the statistics where we found out that 95% of Christians have never led someone to Christ, that 80% of Christians don't even read their Bible. And the harsh reality is that we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and go, hey, if this is true, then I fall into one of those two percentages. I'm either in the 95 that has never witnessed or won someone to Christ, or 80% that has never read their Bible, or I'm on the other side of that. And that stings and it hurts. And we found out that the way to fix that and the way to deal with that is to not be a hypocrite, to be real. To let the world see us the way that God made us, which is with flaws, and that we're broken, and that we're sinners, and that we needed to be saved and redeemed and being reconciled to a holy God. And that's how we fix being broken. And then that brings us to today, where we're going to look at, once again, evangelism, which is just a church word of spreading the gospel. We're to be evangelists. We are to tell people about Jesus Christ and to try to connect them with Jesus. We talked last week that we're not salesmen. We're not trying to sell Jesus, but we're matchmakers. We're trying to introduce two complete strangers to one another so they can have a relationship. I did some more research looking at evangelism, and when they talk to people about evangelism, the most common word that came up about evangelism, sharing the gospel, when they asked people in the world, how do you feel about people who go around sharing their faith? And this is the answer that they got. Oh, that's highly offensive. That's highly offensive. Someone sharing their faith with me is offensive. And when I saw that, the way my brain works, which none of you want to know how that works, all right? My brain said, why is that? Because that doesn't make any sense. Why is that offensive? If you really break it down and you look at it, why is sharing who Jesus is and what Jesus did, what about that is so offensive? Hey, someone loves you more than you'll ever know. Someone loves you so much they died for you. Someone wants to have a personal relationship with you and see you succeed. What about that is offensive? What is bad? What is so horrible? What would someone be like, oh my gosh, that's the worst thing I've ever heard? Why in the world is that offensive? Why is that negative? It doesn't make any sense. until it dawned on me. It makes perfect sense. Because here's how it makes perfect sense, all right? If I was the devil, here would be my plan. I would do exactly this right here. I know, remember now, I'm the devil, all right? You're Christians, you're people who have a relationship with Jesus. I know the same information you know. And according to statistics, I know even more of the information than you know. But we can agree on this. We both know the truth. You know the truth, and I know the truth. And if you know the truth, and I know the truth, you're trying to spread it, and I'm trying to keep it contained. So how do I keep the truth from getting out? This is how you keep the truth from getting out. This is what I would do. You may have a different plan, but this is what I would do. I would do everything I could at every turn to discredit it, 100%. I would try to hide it any way possible. I would try to make people angry with it. I would try to be most distracting as I could. There's distractions here, distractions here, distractions here. I would twist it, I would copy it, I would imitate it, I would tweak it, and then I would kind of release it, and I would do everything I could to discredit it. Once I did that, this is what I would do next. I would focus my attention on the culture. And I would say, I've already twisted it, I've tweaked it, I've manipulated it, I've done this stuff to it to where it's really hard to see what's real and what's not real. Now let me deal with the people, let me deal with the culture. And I would create a culture of confusion and chaos, where you couldn't tell what was up and down, what was normal is no longer normal, what is good is bad, and what was bad is now good. I would create a culture of doubt in anything that was truthful. Not just the truth spiritually, but anything that was truthful, any fact that existed. I would create doubt in any form of truth. I would try to do what I could to make the truth, any form of truth, look fake as fake could be. I would then try to take people who believed in anything that was true and make them look like fools, crazy people, insane people. I would take the culture and I would create so many other beliefs that looked like the truth that you wouldn't be able to tell the top from the bottom, the left from the right, good from bad, none of that stuff. I would continually let it be out there that the truth, or anybody who thinks the truth or facts, they are offensive. They have a problem where they are very narrow-minded. I'd create a culture where a natural hostility towards the truth would exist. If you want to speak truth, I'm going to get really angry and really defensive, and I'm going to come at you because I don't want to hear when you say the word truth. I would create a culture where sharing the truth would be almost impossible. I would create a culture where the truth would sound too good to be true. Because if it sounds too good to be true, it more than likely is too good to be true. I would make the truth a topic of debate and contention and anger. And I would make the truth and be something that the government officials and celebrities would oppose at every single turn. And once I've done all that, good luck. Good luck trying to spread your truth. Because I don't care what the fake stuff is you spread, but the truth, I don't want that getting out. So knowing all of that, if I was the devil, and that was my plan, how are we doing today as Christians? Statistics tell us from last week, we're not doing so good. 95% of us never won a single soul to Christ. 70% of us don't read our Bible. 82% of us have the knowledge but refuse to share it because we're scared or we have some other reasons that we don't want to share it. It's pretty evidence that his plan has worked. It's worked pretty well. If you were to go into those statistics even further, and they ask lost people about Christians, they say, so they're hypocritical. What is the next thing that you would describe a Christian as? And here's what they say: Christians are pushy, rude, insensitive, judgmental, intense, and harsh. I've met very few intense Christians. I've not run into that many John the Baptists out there. I can't remember the last time I had a legit Christian who was really intense out there doing something really intense. According to the regular statistics, how could they be pushy, rude, and insensitive when they don't want to tell anybody anything? None of that makes any sense. It's chaos. It's nonsense. It's a perception. And I can tell you this, doing the job that I do, there has never been a place where perception becomes reality quicker than this. What people perceive becomes their truth. They don't need facts. They don't need science. They don't need education. I perceive this to be true, so therefore it's true, and you now cannot change my mind, whether it's true or not. So perception becomes this enemy of us as Christians. So how do we change perception? It's really simple. We go back to God's plan because this did not catch him by surprise. And so God had a plan to thwart all of this and to make none of this be any relevant. And here was God's plan. It's really crazy. I want you to see something amazing in your Bible. All right, here's God's plan. It's what we started with. It was the same thing he said last week in Matthew 28, 19, and 20. Go. Go and make disciples. That's the plan. Good old-fashioned word of mouth, legwork, doing it. Go. And we're going to look today, you can see this in Luke chapter 10. That's where we're going to start. We're going to look at two passages today. We're going to start in Luke chapter 10, and we're going to go look at verses 1 through 9. When Jesus said go, this is what he was saying, and this is what he wanted us to do, and this is the go. I'm in the New King James. That's what I prefer. All right. Chapter 10, verse 1. They're going to put it up on the screen for you. After these things, the Lord appointed 70 others also and sent them 2 by 2 before his face into every city and place where he himself was about to go. Then he said to them, the harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. What he's saying right there is he's like, listen, and I know it's coming. We need people to go do it. When I say go, I mean we need a lot of us to go. Verse 3, go your way. Behold, I send you out as lambs among wolves. He's letting them know this isn't going to be easy. This isn't going to be a walk in the park. This is going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but go. Carry neither money bag, knapsack, nor sandals, and greet no one along the road, but whatever house you enter, first say, peace to this house, and if a son of peace is there, your peace will rest on it. If not, it will return to you. And remain in the same house, eating and drinking such things as they give, for the laborer is worthy of his wages. Do not go from house to house. Whatever city you enter and they receive you, eat such things as are set before you. Heal the sick there and say to them, the kingdom of God has come near you. And you say, all right, Josh, how does this go? Well, there's something really important here that we need to see, that we need to understand that God is telling us. Is Jesus said, listen, you have this amazing message that you need to give to people, right? But here's what we need to do. You need to go because the details matter. I want you to go to these places. I don't want you to take money with you. I don't want you to take anything with you. I want you to just take the stuff that you have on your back, and I want you to go, and I want you to get to the places that I'm sending you, and I'm sending you 2 by 2, and when you get there, I want you to go to people's houses, and I want you to do this crazy, insane thing. I want you to start by building relationships with these people. I want you to sit down with them. I want you to have meals with them. I want you to communicate with them. I want you to learn about their lives. I want you to spend time with them, because here's what I need you to do. Here's exactly the plan that I have for you. I need you to show up into someone's life, and the instant that you show up into someone's life, I need you to be relevant. I don't need you to just be some other person that came to their house. I need you to be relevant in their life. That's really important, that when you show up, you connect with them and you build a relationship first. Spend quality time with people that you are trying to reach first. Love them, care about them, talk to them first. Try to personally connect with them first. Love them unlike they have been loved by anyone else first. So that you build this relationship so that you can share the gospel. I want you to be relevant in their life first. And that brings us, this passage right here is the old Christian little motto that we've heard all before, that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Think about the people in your life. If you were to just go and give them the gospel real cold up front, walk right up to them and start telling them about Jesus, you'd be like, if it was a complete stranger, they'd be like, I don't know you. I don't want this information. With the people that you do know and that you are connected with, that you do have a relationship, they're probably going to listen to you a whole lot more. Because you've invested in them. You've been relevant in their life. You've had some sort of connection. They know who you are. And this goes back to the plan that the devil put into place. He's like, I'm going to hide the truth. But God goes, nice try. You can try to hide the truth, but here's my plan. If you do my plan, you can't hide the truth. Because the reason you can't hide the truth is because it's not words. See, the truth isn't words, the truth is action. When you show up into someone's life and you are relevant in their life and you provide needs for them and you help them, it says that they were healing the sick and they were doing miracles and they were doing all of these things and they were connecting with people. When you do those things, when you help people when they are in need, when you are relevant to their life in a place where things are negative, where things are bad, where things are difficult, and you are there and you are encouraging and you are loving and you are a part of their world and you do things that no one else around them is doing, you've become relevant to them, and now your actions are the gospel. Your actions are the gospel, because the reason you're doing these things, they're going to say, why are you doing these things? Let me tell you why. And now you get to use your words. So devil, if you want to create chaos and you want to do all of these other things to create confusion, you can go ahead and do that, but checkmate, I got you. Because my plan isn't about words. Yours is all about words. Mine is about actions. The proof will be shown in the disciples by what they were doing. It gets a little bit better too. We're going to move to our next passage, which is going to be in Acts chapter 14. And while you're turning there, I'm going to give you a little bit of background. We get into Acts, and we're in chapter 14, and we're going to go on a trip with Paul. And if you don't know anything about Paul, Paul was probably one of the most godly men to ever lace up a sandal. He was amazing. And Paul, he was the very first missionary, and he started spreading the gospel as far as it could possibly go, and he went on missionary journeys. He became the greatest missionary of all time. He never met Jesus face to face on earth, but he had an encounter with Jesus, and it changed everything. And we're going to look at one of his journeys, and I'm going to have them put a map up. This is all of Paul's missionary journeys on foot. This is the Mediterranean. You've got Italy up near the corner right there, and then you've got this Mediterranean Sea and all of this. You can see where Paul went on foot. No planes, no cars, no trains, no bikes. He did this on foot. You can see where he went and what he did. And I do have questions. I really do have questions. And I'm not trying to be silly, but if you follow the green one, why did he go way up in the middle of nowhere for no good reason? I don't understand that. Did he get lost? Like, why is he way up there? There's nothing up there. There's nothing up there. And I can tell you why, because that's where God told him to go. Paul was obedient. He was like, I'm going to go, God. This seems in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert, but if you want me to go there, I'm going to go there. I'm going to tell whoever you want me to tell about it. And I want you to wrap your mind around that, because someday God may say that to you. I want you to go in the middle of nowhere where it doesn't make any sense, and I want you to tell somebody about me. Okay. This was all of Paul's journeys. Now, this next map is going to show us the journey that we're going to look at today. Paul and Barnabas went on a journey. This is just one of them, all right? And this is the journey that Paul and Barnabas went on that we're going to look at here in Acts chapter 14. Barnabas was his partner that he took with him. And we get to see how the two of them did missions. And it's going to be very, very interesting. Let me read this to you. Chapter 14, we're going to start in verse 1, and we are going to go all the way down to 19. I know, it's a ton. Micah said, thanks for giving me the entire New Testament to type out and put up on slides. I said, sorry I'm using the Bible. Shame on me for using the Bible. All right. Chapter 14. Now it happened in Iconium that they went together to the synagogue of the Jews, and so spoke that a great multitude, both of the Jews and of the Greeks, believed. But the unbelieving Jews stirred up the Gentiles and poisoned their minds against the brethren. Does that sound familiar? What would Satan do? Hey, let me poison some people's minds about the truth. Therefore, they stayed there a long time, speaking boldly in the Lord, who was bearing witness to the word of his grace, granting signs and wonders to be done by their hands. But the multitude of the city was divided, part sided with the Jews and part with the apostles. And when a violent attempt was made by both the Gentiles and Jews with their rulers to abuse and stone them, they became aware of it and fled to Lystra and Derbe, cities of Laodicea, and to the surrounding region. And they were preaching the gospel there. And in Lystra, a certain man without strength in his feet was sitting, a cripple from his mother's womb, who had never walked. This man heard Paul speaking. Paul, observing him intently and seeing that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, "Stand up right on your feet." And he leaped and walked. And when the people saw what Paul had done, they raised their voices, saying in Laodicean language, "The gods have come down to us in the likeness of men." And Barnabas they called Zeus, and Paul Hermes, because he was the chief speaker. Then the priest of Zeus, whose temple was in front of their city, brought oxen and garland to the gates, intending to sacrifice with the multitudes. But when the apostles Barnabas and Paul heard this, they tore their clothes and ran in among the multitude, crying out and saying, "Men, why are you doing these things? We also are men with the same nature as you, and preach to you that you should turn from these useless things to the living God, who made the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all the things that are in them, who in bygone generations allowed all nations to walk in their own ways. Nevertheless, he did not leave himself without witness in that he did good, gave us rain from heaven in fruitful seasons, filling our hearts with food and gladness." And with these sayings, they could scarcely restrain the multitudes from sacrificing to them. The Jews from Antioch and Iconium came there, and having persuaded the multitudes, they stoned Paul and dragged him out of the city, supposing him to be dead. This was like their second or third journey. This one, that one that we just showed you. Go back to all the ones that they did after this. You ever been hit with a rock? Let alone hundreds of rocks? And then go, okay, where are we going next? There's some things I want you to see in here that I saw that was pretty cool. It's one of the few times that you see that Paul really doesn't do exactly to the detail what he was told to do. And he got hit with rocks for it. See, what did we learn in Luke that Jesus told them to do? Hey, I want you to go into these places, and I want you to be relevant to these people. I want you to love these people, care about these people, do miracles, do signs and wonders, build relationships with these people, make yourself relevant in their lives, care for these people in a way that no one else is, and then give them the gospel. And Paul and Barnabas, they show up to the first place they go, and they do the exact opposite. They say, we're going to start telling people about Jesus. We're going to start giving people the gospel. And then along the way, we'll start doing some miracles and healings and trying to build a relationship. And it got them stoned. It caused problems. They got angry. The people started to have their minds poisoned because they didn't follow the instructions that God gave them. They said, we think we've got a better idea, or we're just not going to listen. We're going to do what we think we're going to do, and we're going to get real excited. We're just going to start telling people about Jesus. So they find out the hard way. And I had to stop here for a minute and go, listen, there's a reality to this that I think we're missing, that so many Christians in today, we kind of gloss over and go, well, why would they stone them? Why would the Jews get so mad and stone them? I mean, once again, He's telling them about Jesus, right? What is so offensive about that? And so I want to put it into perspective for you, all right? We're going to take a little jaunt right over here, all right? Nobody, I don't care what the subject is, nobody wants to find out they were wrong or they've been a fool their entire life about it, let alone your belief system where you're going to spend eternity. If somebody walked in, literally, if I got up here and I said, listen, guys, everything in here is totally wrong. Everything that you've read in here is wrong. We don't need Jesus. This is just an old book. It's not true. We have to believe in this stick that I found in my backyard. This stick is awesome. It's a perfect stick. This stick is how you spend eternity in heaven. How many of you are going to be like, you know what? I'm with the stick guy. Let's go. No, you'd be like, wait a minute. I have entire generations who believe what I believe, and you want me to abandon that for what you're telling me? No. That's not going to happen. You understand that in the Jewish culture, there's thousands of years of history. And he's showing up going, hey guys, Jesus is the answer. What you've believed isn't true. Him and Barnabas are saying these things, so they get so angry, they get so mad, they get so upset that they want to kill them. You're wrong. So Paul and Barnabas, they flee, intelligent, they take off, and they go to the next place. And they go, you know what? I'm thinking along the way they're having a conversation and go, like you have those meetings at work. So what did we do wrong? What happened? This didn't go well. They tried to kill us. They ran us out. It was bad. We are headed to this next place. Maybe we should get our act together before we get there. What were we told to do? What was the plan? Well, Jesus said we need to go there. We need to invest in these people's lives. We need to do miracles. We need to do this stuff. And then give them, oh, you know what, man? I think we did it backwards. You know what? I think we did. All right, problem solved. Let's try it the other way. They show up in the new place. They get to this new place. They sit down. They're observing people. That's what Scripture says. They're observing people. And Paul observes a man who is sitting off to the side. He's crippled from birth. He's not been able to walk. And he's like, ooh, how do I become relevant in this guy's life? How do I do something in his life that will change his life? How do I do something? Hey, you over there who has faith, stand up and walk. Boom, miracle happens. Everyone knows that this guy is in this situation. People turn and they look and they go, what just happened? Hey guys, what's going on? And now people have come to them because they were relevant in someone else's life. They changed someone else's life first. Now they were able to share the gospel with people. They were able to tell people what God had wanted them to do. They did the exact opposite of what they did in the first place. And here's what I need you to see, because it's important for us today, especially with the understanding the statistics that we now know. Paul and Barnabas did something awesome. The early disciples did something awesome. And here's what it is. I want you to write this down somewhere, put it on a mirror at your house, or review it later, do whatever, put it on the refrigerator. And this is what it is. They showed people the gospel before they told people the gospel. They showed people the gospel before they told people the gospel. We can talk all day long and we can say things all day long, but once again, we found out last week, if our actions don't match our words, we're hypocrites. We're not being real. What has more power? You investing in someone's life, you spending some time with someone and meeting their needs and caring about them, who is broken and who is hurt and who is damaged and is not perfect, and you being not perfect and being broken and being damaged and connecting with them and having a relationship with them and then sharing with them how you are fixed, or showing up and just saying, you're broken, you're messed up, you're damaged, and this is how you get fixed. The world doesn't want somebody telling them that they're broken, damaged, and fixed. They want to see that there is someone who is broken, damaged, and fixed, someone who had a problem and then was healed, and now they're going to go, hey, how do I get that? Because it was all part of God's plan. for us to go. That's why he wants us to go, because they showed people the gospel before they ever opened their mouth and told people the gospel. They weren't being salesmen. They weren't being hypocrites. They were being real. They were being relevant. Because remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Once you care about someone, they want to have some of that information. Why are you the way you are? Why do you think the way you think? Why do you do the things you do? This doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I know. Their actions brought value to other people. And I can tell you, doing the counseling that I do and talking with people, there are so many individuals who just feel that they are not valued, that no one cares about me, and I just don't feel valued. Connecting with someone on a personal level makes them feel valued. You get to understand them, you get to care for them, you get to become relevant in their life because you know them. So that brings us to our application part. What does that look like for me and you today in the culture that we live in? Because we don't live in this culture right here. And by the way, we could spend weeks. There's a ton of history and culture that we could break down in here with lesson upon lesson upon lesson just in chapter 14, but we just don't have the time, and that's not what is part of what we're talking about today. But you really want to break some of this stuff down, it is really amazing. But if we look at what does that mean for us today, how do we deal with things and spread the gospel today? And we simply do exactly what God said to do, which is to go. And then when we go, we follow his instructions. We become relevant to people. We copy what the apostles did. We bring value to others. And I want you to think about this for a moment in your real life. What is your reaction to someone when you feel valued by them? Think about your spouse. When your spouse makes you feel valued, what does that do to you? Or your kids. When your kids make you feel valued. Or your boss or your supervisor or a coworker. You feel valued. It changes the way that you think and it changes the way that you exist. Knowing that you are valued and appreciated makes you feel loved. Knowing that you are loved makes you feel relevant. Knowing that you are relevant to someone changes something inside of you. I'm relevant. And I want you to think about someone who has been relevant in your life. Everybody, we can think of an individual who was really relevant in our life, someone who had a huge impact on us. And here's the thing, I guarantee they built a relationship with you first. They invested in you first. They helped you with something first. They led you somewhere first. They had conversations with you first. They invested in you first. And then they were relevant in your world. And it creates this really awesome chain. When someone is relevant in your life, you feel relevant. And then you want to be relevant in someone else's life because you know what it did for you. That is the gospel. That is evangelism. Jesus was extremely relevant in the lives of all the people that he met. He was extremely relevant in my life. And then he did something amazing for me that showed me that he loved me. And I felt relevant. You understand, before that point, I didn't feel relevant. I knew I was messed up. I knew I was a problem. I knew that I was a disaster. And I was irrelevant to everyone. But when I found out that what he did, and he was relevant in my life, that made me say, listen, I need to be relevant in someone else's life. I need to share this with some other people because I know what he did for me. And if he's going to do that for me, he's going to do that for you. So I have to go and I have to be relevant in someone else's life, not just one person, a ton of people's lives. I have to share this information. I have to go and do this and give this to other people. Because he was relevant to me, I am now going to try to be as relevant to people as I possibly can. When we are relevant to others, we earn trust and influence with them. Think about the people who did that. Maybe it was a coach who invested in you and was relevant to you, or maybe a friend that you have had for years, or a family member. For a lot of people, especially students, it is teachers that they connected with when they were in school who was really relevant and encouraged them. You know, I'm going to give you a personal story. When I was in high school, we had 8 periods in our day, all right? 8 periods. One was lunch, okay? 6 of my periods for my junior and senior year, I lived in shop class. No math, no science, no civics, none of it. Shop class. Building furniture, patio furniture. You could bring in, it was really cool. My teacher was awesome. If you had a broken mixer, blender, vacuum cleaner, you could bring it in. And if Josh could tell you what was wrong with it, he got a B. If Josh could fix it, he got an A. God gifted me. Take stuff apart, put it back together, build stuff. Love shop class. My shop teacher says to me, hey man, I see you every single period. I'm sick of looking at your face. I go, I know. I love it in this room. This place is great. There's saws, there's drills, there's hammers. This is awesome. I don't want to go to the classroom with the books. That's not me. He said to me, hey, did you ever think about going to college? You know the only other class I have is lunch, right? You know that's the only other class I have besides this room. College? Have you lost your mind? Look, man, I don't know if you know this. You know how poor I am? You know how poor my family is? I am not going to college. He's like, man, you should go to college. And he invested in me. He was relevant in my life. He encouraged me. He's invested so much time in me and encouraging me. He talked to other teachers and said, hey man, you've really got to see this kid Josh. You got to talk to this kid Josh. He's got a bunch of potential and he wants to spend his life building houses. This guy is special. He can go and connect with people. He needs to be out in the world. And he just wants to build houses. I ended up going to college because someone invested in me, a teacher. Simply because he was relevant, it changed my whole path. I now know that him being relevant in my life was part of God's plan to get me where I needed to be. I had no idea. Remember that map out in the middle of nowhere? I had no idea I'd ever end up here. There's a harsh truth that we need to understand about being relevant in someone's life. And like I said last week, I deal a lot with relationships. And I use this statement in relationships and marriages, all right? This is a harsh truth. This is a harsh truth. Understand this. If you can grasp this, this is going to save a lot of problems for you and hurt and pain. You and I, we all have to earn the right to be heard. If we're giving someone the gospel, we have to earn the right to be heard. Everyone has to earn the right to be heard. In a marriage, both people have to earn the right to be heard. Oh, he just doesn't hear me. He's not listening to me. She's not listening to me. She's not hearing what I'm saying. Okay, why? And it's because neither one of them have tried to earn the right to be heard. They're both being selfish. This person over here is being selfish, and this person over here is being selfish, and neither one of them is hearing what the other person is saying because they don't really care because I'm being selfish. Hey, why don't you stop being selfish and focus on meeting their needs? Why don't you focus on meeting their needs? And then you will earn the right to be heard. And you'll be like, you know what? You hurt me. I'm sorry. Why did I hurt you? How did I hurt you? I didn't even know I hurt you. And it opens up this relationship to where now they can have a conversation about the important things that are going on in their marriage, where the problems, where the sources. And then here's the crazy part. They get to the truth. Because the truth is not words, it's actions. Do you really love me in this relationship? I do. Then I need to see you love me. I don't want to hear I love you. I want to see I love you. Once I see I love you, when you tell me I love you, I get it. Because the truth is not words, the truth is actions. If we have to earn the right to be heard by our community, then we have to be relevant in our community as a church. Think about this. We could have the best news in the world, and we do. We could have the most important information ever, and we do. We could have the answer to everything that is wrong, and we do. But unless we have earned the right to say it and to share it and to give it, it doesn't mean anything. Unless we earn the right to be heard, others won't hear it. Unless we're relevant in the lives of the people within our community, they don't care what we have to say. That is the entire purpose of For the 912, for us to give the gospel without saying a word. To go love people, to care about people, to be around people, to invest in people, and then give them the gospel. We are to be relevant to others first, and we do that by being real. And that is the plan that God put into place from the very beginning. When you are real and relevant, you add value to someone's life. When you are real and relevant, you establish a relationship. When you establish a relationship, you've then earned the right to be heard. And once you've earned the right to be heard, you now have the right to share information. When you get the chance to share information, you get to introduce them to Jesus. When you introduce them to Jesus, you've shared the gospel. So that takes us back to last week when so many people have sent me emails and text messages saying, I'd love to share the gospel, but I don't know how to do it. I just told you. You have to be real. You have to be relevant in the lives of the people that God puts in your path. You build a relationship, which gets you the right to be heard. And when you've earned the right to be heard, you get to give them information, and that information is introducing them to Jesus. And that's the gospel. That's how you do it. It's not complicated, but you have to be real and relevant in order to do it. I'm going to ask you a question that I really want you to think about this week. Okay? Do you want to know the test to know if you are relevant in someone's life? Do you want to know the test if you are relevant in a lost person's life? Let's just do it spiritually. Let's not do anything else, but let's do the spiritual part of it. Here's the test to know if you are relevant in a lost person's life. I want you to think of an individual that is a friend of yours or a family member of yours or somebody that you know that is lost. They have no relationship with Jesus Christ. If you don't have lost friends, shame on you. Shame on you. I've got a ton of lost friends. They need me. They need me in their life. They need me. They don't need another lost friend. They need someone with the truth who's going to give them the gospel, who's going to invest in them. And I've dealt with too many Christian parents who are like, oh, I don't let my kids and I don't let my teenagers have lost friends. And I go, shame on you. If they don't have lost friends, how are they going to reach them? Think about the lost friends that you have. Just think about one individual that you are connected with who is lost. And now think about, would their life be any different if you weren't involved in their life? If their life would not change, whether you were in it or not, you are irrelevant in their world. You are not earning the right to be heard. You're irrelevant. Their life would go on the same with or without you. That is not our goal. Remember that you are on a mission. Your mission is to do exactly what the disciples did, what the apostles did, which is they showed people the gospel before they told people the gospel. And that's what you're supposed to do. And you do that by being real and by being relevant in their life, and that makes you a disciple, which is way better than a follower. A disciple is someone who's in the war and getting wounded. It's really tough to walk out of these doors and put a lot of this stuff into practice, and I understand that because there's a real world out there. And the last thing I want to leave you with is this. I know that there's a real world out there. I'm in it every day. But there's real people in it. And those real people have an eternal destiny. And if we don't start doing something about it, and if we don't start caring about what is happening outside of this campus, we're all irrelevant. And I do not want to stand before my Creator and have him look at me and say, great potential. You were totally irrelevant. What did you do? That's not the mission I'm on. I'm on a different mission. I'm on a mission that he gave to go and to make other disciples. And I would love for this church to be so relevant in this community that its head would spin. I don't know what's going on at that place, but man, they are doing some crazy, amazing stuff, and we will earn the right to be heard. We will earn the right to be heard. God, thank you for today. I thank you for the message that you've given. Once again, I pray that I didn't get in the way. I pray that it was delivered clearly and concisely with impact. Father, I ask that as we get ready to go out into this world, that we would understand what it means to be relevant, that we would understand what it means to be real, that we would be willing to blow the statistics and flip them completely around. God, what if 95% of Christians had won someone to the Lord and 5% didn't? What if over 70% of Christians read their Bible? God, I thank you for us knowing that the gospel is actions and not words, and that we can share the gospel with people if we would just love them, care for them, build relationships with them, and be relevant in their world. I thank you once again for this opportunity to share your word. I pray that it was received well and that it motivates us to go do something amazing for you and for your kingdom. God, we love you. We thank you for everything. In Jesus' name, amen.